4, 5, live.
Live.
So, we're going to take a look at a channel called the Vortex, which is headed by, I think the name of the channel is Militant, Church Militant.
Yeah.
Is that it? Yeah, Church Militant. Okay. All right. Yeah.
They're spiraling out in their vortex.
Yeah. Well, he starts every one of their videos with this. And the thought that came to mind was being tossed to and fro by everyone to doctrine. But he always says something when he does this too, every video.
Does he say something like spiraling out or
something like that? Exactly. That's right. He makes a comment that has to do with that motion. And, you know, it's at least their hand signal. They've got their own hand signal. He does. And
what a tool.
He's Catholic. He's very Catholic and very committed to Catholicism and sort of a maybe old time, pure, traditional. Yes, he'd be very traditional Catholic that looks to go back to the old school, which for him is the true school. More true than today. I would probably, you know, if that could be judged, since more true could be worse true, of course. But it certainly didn't incorporate and allow a lot of what they are appeasing today with all types of different types of ideas of what marriage is, you know, and the ecumenical council now is a big part of Catholicism, whereby they're embracing different religions. And there was a conference or some sort of get together recently where the Pope was meeting with the Dalai Lama, the head Buddhist guy, the head Hindu guy, you know. It was like 15, 20 different religions. It wasn't just the ones you can name or think of off the top of your head. It wouldn't be like the head of this one is a group you've never heard of, but you could not easily name them all. There were that many, all different religions, not just sects of anything. These were the head guys of like, and there's only there's 3 major religions, or maybe 4 or 5, but you know, relative to the Bible, right? There's 3: Christian, Muslim, and Jewish, and then another good 3 or 4 more that everybody knows, and then have heard of all 10 of these guys. But anyway, this guy's channel is very intent upon exposing issues, problems, and a liberal movement inside Catholicism that he does not like or tolerate. And they're really quite live up to the name of militant. And our view will be what's new. This is going on in every one of the denominations. In fact, the denominations themselves are exactly a horde of what this guy is talking about as the problems inside his group, Catholics alone. So without further ado, we'll meet him. Ready, Ryan?
Okay.
Of God and country battles forces hell-bent on a redefinition of community. We have built this Catholic Media Center to be the heartbeat of authentic Catholicism, which must, as its very charter, fight against this darkness.
Do we just want to listen to him?
No, I'm doing it, okay?
It is his church to go along with the world, to convert it, to bring it salvation. But there are forces, dark forces, as we have well documented, at work in the church to pervert her divine mandate. They've been in place for centuries, but they reached a critical mass this last half century, and now is the time to go on the offensive against them. That is the entire reason for this newly revamped facility we have here, to go to war with these demons who make use of human agents to bring ruination to mankind. Some of these dark forces within the church enjoy much celebrity and command large followings. They are false prophets, and they must be denounced. Whether destruction of the church is a conscious motivation of theirs, or they're just useful idiots in hell's plan, that no longer matters, that distinction. The destruction they bring about through malice or cowardice must be confronted and defeated. They are present in every aspect of the church and the life of the church, in the hierarchy, the universities, the chanceries, the parishes, and so forth. And if you think this all sounds crazy, then you don't have a sufficient enough understanding of the activity of the diabolical. If you
well, you can miss the diabolical in the bigger scope of that being the case not only in every denomination other than just his own, which of course he considers and believes to be the only true one, but all the denominations themselves, including him, are that very activity. How blinding to point out other people in a church group, a denomination, as being the issue, when the denomination itself as a whole is a problem and the issue. In fact, the entire denomination, all of them, are the big picture of what he's pointing out as a faction, only a faction inside Catholicism.
How about the hand signs and the pyramid behind one of the guy's heads and all this stuff? It just seems pretty controlled.
Okay, yeah, I didn't see any of that.
This picture here.
Pyramids?
Yeah, this halo with what looks like a pyramid behind.
Oh, yeah.
Got Christ with the as above, so below. Which all the Freemasons and whatever.
Okay, yeah. All the holy pictures often have halos. They've always had halos, but that's true. It's like a tradition to have a halo. That shows you're holy. How would you know if you don't have a halo? There you go. You can see it. Oh, yeah, it's nothing but symbology. The entire picture, let alone any in it. I don't know what isn't. Maybe their face. But even then, still the stares on their faces are kind of foreboding. Doesn't look like there's very much joy going on in those faces. What?
I don't know. It's just funny. Just looking at the faces. And you saying that.
Yeah, and they're both looking down, I guess, at that globe thing. They appear to both be staring at it. I guess that is the focus of this picture. Across over the round world. Okay. They've got more.
Believe in God, specifically the Holy Trinity. You therefore must believe that Lucifer refused to serve and fell from the celestial realms forever, driven out by Saint Michael and his legions. Satan now unleashes his fury on the only beings he can, us, and his mission. What consumes him is to deny to humanity what is everlastingly denied to him. For this reason, the eternal Logos incarnated to save us from a fate we would otherwise be powerless to fight off. He established a church, one church, his own mystical body on earth, as a refuge, a means.
This guy's church.
To salvation.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry?
The one church is this guy's church, correct? If I'm taking it right?
Sure. Well, everybody. Yeah.
Which is what they all say.
That's right. Everybody will say there's one church. And obviously, they're inferring that the church or group or denomination with which they are involved, being paid by or supporting or whatever, with whom they affiliate, is the best one, or they wouldn't be with that one. So yeah, he's really, by pointing out and blaming and pointing a finger at the problem, it's impossible that he pointed back at himself. He'll never see it. He'll never see that that group is the first. The Catholicism is the first significant worldwide group that set the stage for all the others. They're the first ones to have made an organization out of God's church and, organize it and structure it with all types of rules and plans and positions and documents and dogmas, traditions, all types of church writings of what they should be. And then, of course, the Pope replaces, actually, Catholics hold the Pope in higher esteem than the Bible. Openly, they admit this. The words that come from the Pope are more important, more relevant, and more applicable in people's relationship in life with God than the Bible.
Yeah, he replaces Christ.
Yep. There it is. Replace. Antichrist. Anti is replacer instead of Christ. Not just some one looming, threatening figure that's coming in some future time. How do people even get so crazy and bold and independent and imaginary to just take that word, of which there are many antichrists even now while the apostles were alive, and take that and then turn it into the antichrist, when there's no the throughout the entire Bible. Never is there a the antichrist in the Bible at all, ever, anywhere, period. It's a given. I saw some video about how a certain book was written. Maybe it was The Omen or some type of book or movie, or book and movie, that popularized. Oh, yes, it's coming to me. Hitler leveraged Nietzsche. Nietzsche wrote a book called The Antichrist. There we go. That's it. And Hitler's religion philosophy for Germany and being the Superman, which Nietzsche wrote about, the idea of a Superman. And of course, Hitler got a lot of his ideas, from the eugenics movement in America. In fact, not only that, he openly says and is quoted, written, and heard to repeat and say that he learned a lot from the eugenics movement in America, which of course is killing off people that are slow to learn, all the words that anybody who has a dysfunction, anybody born with a dysfunction, low IQ, etc., anybody with a human crippling condition that could be inherited or passed on, eugenics, kill them. And he got it from America. There were a number of states at the time that are already adopted eugenics programs. Very popular. That woman, her name escapes me right now, it's well known, who heralded and supported abortion and the eugenics movement, all concerned about overpopulation and having a very successful population or nation, with the nation always taking the place of God. Worship your nation, country, God, and then family. More people give their life for their country than they do God. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So it's more like that. In fact, it's a God of the country, of whatever country that is, their version of a God. And Hitler's, of course, was more like without a God. And so therefore the state takes God's place. And Nietzsche That's it. Had written a book called The Antichrist, and that's what popularized. That's a very well-renowned book, philosophically and religious, just in, those type of studies. And after that, The Antichrist became very popular. Okay, let's have a little more.
The only means. So, of course, Satan would wage war against that church. It is the path of escape from him, and he seeks to destroy it. Think of the church as a tunnel out of a slave labor camp, the only escape, and the commandant of the camp knows about the tunnel. He will do everything and anything in his power to shut off that escape route. Of course, God is more powerful than Satan, so he will never defeat the church as she is in herself, but he can still destroy individuals. The church will always be with us, as Christ has promised. It will never be defeated. So the church will always be with us, but whether the question of we individually remaining, that we will always be with the church, that's still an open question. And if we die apart from the church, we lose forever. So Satan does everything he can to weaken the church, leaving no stone unturned. And that includes, even in a special way, because of its power to influence, the media. It's why we chose this arena to stand and fight. No one in the Catholic world does media like Church Militant does. We begin and end every day, collectively, corporately, with prayer, including the rosary, because no baptized Catholic can be Catholic without prayer.
Which includes or necessitates having a rosary in your pocket. I take it. You've seen a rosary, have you not, Ryan?
Yeah, I would think it's the same.
Yeah, that's what he's saying, rosary. Yeah, I've had plenty of them, seen plenty of them in my life. That's what you get to see if you're Catholic. Yeah, rosaries. You say a prayer on each bead of the rosary. Did you know that?
No.
Oh, okay. So there's 9 little beads in a row. I don't have it exactly. And then a bigger bead comes up, and then you do something like saying Our Father. And then there's 9 more beads. I'm just making these numbers up. I forget entirely. Absolutely do not remember. But it's like that. There's a ceremony to actually praying the prayers of a rosary. Oh, it's very detailed. Oh, you'd want to be very exact. You'd want to know how to genuflect. Do you know how to genuflect?
No.
Oh, okay. You can't be Catholic.
Good.
Okay. You missed
It is
out.
the very first weapon we have because it is supernatural. And we combat directly the errors so common and profound throughout the church, especially in the realm of so-called Catholic media. Liberal reporters like John Allen of Crooks, Christopher Lamb of The Tablet, Austin Ivory, and loads of others, and the even more dangerous spiritual terrorists like James Martin, Bishops John Stowe, and Robert McElroy, and the really poisonous characters like Cardinals Blaise Supich, Joseph Tobin, Donald Wuerl, you name them. These men and their evil pronouncements and agendas are supported by and advertised for by untrustworthy and deceptive outfits and so-called journalists like the ones we named above, and more.
Pretty brutal, huh, Ryan?
Oh, yeah. The dividing's just going to continue.
Well, he's calling people of his same religion that are well-respected leaders of his own religion these things. Yeah, this isn't the Christians talking about is the Jews or one denomination, the Mormons speaking about the Jehovah's Witnesses, or one major Protestant group talking about a much smaller Christian group as a cult. This is a guy inside his own religion speaking about the guys that may be in a position to even excommunicate him. These are some powerful worldly figures he's talking about here. He's talking in such a way, it's no game like what we're doing. Okay? We're doing a game relative to what this guy's doing here. This guy is out in the public with many, many subscribers and developing and growing a national notoriety in front of people that have the kind of power and the money to kill him. This guy is serious.
Yeah, and in the comments, you know, so
Yeah.
people are aware of that, as they say that he needs to protect himself and get supplies and stuff like this.
Whatever, it's likely. Yeah, well, that's in a nutshell. Whatever they're saying in comments, you know, strictly one sentence, they could off him.
Yeah.
Okay? He could have an accident easy. And if he did have an accident, don't be surprised. This guy is coming right up against the leaders. These people are operating with trillions of dollars in power and influence that makes money, paper money, look like it's a joke. These people are people that interact with major military leaders throughout the entire world, in every country of the world, and including the underground and mafia. That's who he's talking about right now. People with that kind of power. We're sitting here in our homes with very few people on our channel.
Right.
But this guy, relative to the truth, let us say, is speaking mildly relative to the truth of the depth of the evil that runs throughout the entire world of church organizations such as his own, including him. And he's really not calling them any different names than the names and words that Christ used to describe the Pharisees and Sadducees and Jewish leaders at the time. It's distinctly obvious. Obviously, even the people inside a particular denomination, let alone the largest, most powerful one, largest landowner in the world, by the way, Catholicism, largest landowner. How's that sound? Only they own it. They don't rule it. They're not the president of France and England and Spain, but all of which, that amount of country, their total land holdings may be bigger than the area. That's an interesting thing. Not really. And I'm throwing it out there, guessing that the amount of land holdings of the Catholic organization is larger than the space of England, France, and Spain put together. I'm going to do that just out of curiosity when we're done. But yeah, can you think of some of the names that Christ used to call the religious leaders at the time?
Snakes, hypocrites, you know, whitewashed, tombs full of dead men's bones, you know, liars, father of the devil.
Yeah.
Haters, right? The killers, really, murderers.
Right.
They murdered all the righteous blood, and yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, all the prophets, except, you know, what comes to mind right away, though, we're applying every word is true within us, and that we ourselves, all human beings, are responsible, have that thing in them, that worldly conforming identity that seeks its own, lustful, prideful, self-righteous, and we are responsible for the killing and death of the prophets. You, me, everybody. In terms of that human beast thing being in all of us, it's that same carnal mind that killed the prophets. You remember that verse, Ryan? By chance?
No.
No, I don't either right now. But, you know, we could dig it up anytime. You're familiar with it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you add any more to it? The verse that says, and we're to see ourselves as responsible for killing the prophets.
I don't have it in mind right now.
Are you able to search it out real easy? Well, never mind. I thought it might be, your phone might be right there. Like I meant real easy, but it's not, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what to put in there.
For murdering the prophets.
Right, but about everyone and being guilty.
Oh, no, you just
don't recall
murdering the prophets, but that's okay. You would just, yeah, murdering the prophets, that's all.
They are allied against the church, attempting to present a different picture of her true mission, handed to her by Christ himself while he was personally present here on earth. That mission, the salvation of souls. They don't believe that, and they have therefore disqualified themselves from being considered reliable. They are not. the entire culture is at a crisis point, precipitated by the crisis in the church. 100 years ago, communism understood that to create a world without God, where the state would become God, the Catholic Church would have to be destroyed. But where centuries of other attempts to destroy the Catholic Church failed, Marxism decided to quietly invade and pervert from within. We are here to draw the line in the sand. All good Catholics must now draw that line in the sand.
And if we drew this line in the sand being of Christ rather than of some denomination with a name, well, he'd be on the other side of that line in the sand.
Right. This is the pot calling the kettle black as far as I can see.
Yeah. And how is the pot ever going to realize it's the kettle?
Never.
It's almost like professing and claiming and boasting about being able to point out with enthusiasm the kettle, and you're not it.
And a house divided can't stand, and they're clearly divided, as every denomination is divided. So isn't all of this prove that this is not the one true church, because the true church is not divided?
Yeah, it can't be. At least it's growing together to be like-minded, obedient to God, iron sharpening iron, and appreciating being obedient, coming up under the obedience of becoming like-minded and fellowship in unity towards becoming like-minded. Leaving divisions behind or divided. Like we read, not to get hung up on or spend time with arguments and debates and disputes, for example, over simple carnal things, which tend to be the focus when people are that carnal minded. They tend to dispute things like genealogies, details. What was the birth date of Jesus Christ really? It wasn't December 25th. What was the date? Were there people on crosses, or were they trees? Were they straight up and down hanging on pieces of a tree, or was it actually a cross? Debates like this, arguments over, petty little things that have nothing really to do with the renewing of the mind and heart of Christ. It has more to do with people attempting to prove how right they are before another.
Yeah.
With all sorts of little proofs and historical documentations. All right, well, let the guy go on. He's got another minute or so.
And that begins with information, knowing the enemy and exposing his tactics so the glories of the faith can shine forth. That's the whole reason for this extremely cool and all newly equipped, updated facility, to take the war to Satan and his deceptions.
So he's being funded within Catholicism by other Catholics to move his movement within Catholicism forward by a growing movement that's getting behind him to, push the division. Well, they start with a division. They're already a division unto themselves. They're already a church unto their own making, traditions of men. So it sets the stage for more division because they've already divided themselves from Christ with a world organization associated, under contract, in business with governments around the world. Tax-free status, for example, recognized religion of a particular country, accessing certain financial benefits, pay no taxes, under contract with the government. And obviously you've got to appease the government to some degree if they're going to give you the opportunity to make 30% more money.
Yeah, it's on a false premise right from the beginning. And
they refuse to recognize it or cannot even see it because they already came up through it as though that was the source of their relationship with God, not Christ, but with their organization full of leaders that representing Christ, that are there instead of Christ, just as we said about the Pope. Actually, the Pope is there instead of Peter. actually. Did you know that? It's not, it's not Christ. But although it is in spiritual truth, but they say that the Pope is replacing, instead of Peter as the head apostle, the rock upon which I will build my church. So officially, by Catholic dogma, the Pope is replacing Peter. It's a succession of Peters. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But instead, they're actually replacing Christ in the name of Peter. How about that? Let alone they have a lot of their own saints. You know about that, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure that there's books and documents and all sorts of numbered, labeled criteria by which a person could be determined and anointed as officially as a saint. And they're the ones that make saints. Nothing godly or spiritual, you know, just we get together and decide to make somebody a saint.
Yeah.
And who those saints are that they make saints relative to the saints that are the members of the body of Christ, I don't know, except there may be very special saints. So they call them saints a lot more than they would call themselves saints. I don't know. But he's enthusiastic, isn't he, Ryan?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he sounds like he really wants to be doing what he's doing.
Why wouldn't he?
Well, yeah, you can hear it in his voice. That's very engaging when he's like that. Like, you get the impression he really wants to be there. You know, he really wants to do what he's doing. You can tell it in his voice, in the way he acts. You know, even if he's tired or something, you know, he puts on a good demonstration, which, you know, he's taken on that as a thing to do for his organization. So, you know, I guess we could say he's doing a good job. And obviously they have a lot more money coming in. They're building a new studio.
When our Lord said the gates of hell would not prevail, that presents a picture of the church attacking, not crouching down, hiding and cowering in some defensive posture. We have the Queen of Heaven, St. Michael, the truth of God himself, all present fully in the Holy Catholic Church. It's time for war. Before we wrap, we'd like to continue to express our gratitude to all of you who have donated to this cause and continue to donate. We still have bills connected to this expansion that are outstanding, and whatever you can keep giving to help is very much appreciated. Thank you for the incredible amount of trust you have placed in us. This is, as we say quite frequently, your apostolate. We run it day to day, but this is the work of the church. And we want to thank you for allowing us to not just continue the fight, but to step it up. God love you. I'm Michael Boris.
We are in business and we have bills.
And we run it.
And we run it. That's right. And you all pay.
That's right.
And our product is attacking the liberal faction of the Catholic religion. And that's our product. You all pay us to provide you with the research that allows us to deliver that product. And you enjoy it. It's just an information product, but there's a lot of businesses in the business of information, especially today. I had a company once and had an ad on the inside front cover of the American Export Register, Ryan. And the top of the ad, it said, leaders in the information information age, something like that. It was leaders in the business, in the information something. So actually operated, a business that leveraged information as the product. And what we do research on American companies for people that were buying things out of the United States. When, of course, we used to make stuff. That was back then. Still into the 80s. Okay, should we just wrap any party ending comment to make, summary type of comment on what we just had to share here?
Well, if you want to be confused and lost by the very definition of what God calls lost. This is the perfect place to start, you know, to donate, to support the military of the church. It's rough, man. I had a hard time watching it.
Well, we all start there, though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can't knock anybody that's in there. I mean, right? The business of religion is what introduces everybody in the world to religion, and we can't come out of her unless we have been in her. But I hear you.
Yeah.
You might say if you want that, you can just stay in there. I mean, that would be our take on it would be, if you want to remain lost, then just stay inside a stagnant organization that cannot possibly mature, because if they change truly the heart of their message, they would have to change their entire institution, all the way back to the books that they use in their curriculum to produce, priests and graduates of their religious colleges.
Yeah, and it's ever dividing. So,
well, and you can't get on the right page if they don't even have God's truth on the page of their minds and hearts already. It's inherently going to be divided in each of them, and all of them divided against each other and divided from within. For there again, right, as you said before, that it's on the premise is wrong from the beginning. The whole organization and or division in and of itself is built or started on a wrong premise, that you can organize God's truth and God's church into an organization that has cash flow, owns buildings, and is very worldly in its operation. It operates like a business. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no difference whatsoever. And again, we'd look at Paul. He wouldn't even take donations when offered to him. He didn't want to be a burden to people, where they could use the money. He wasn't talking to very wealthy people. And, and if he was, still, he did not want to be a burden to anybody. And the last thing he wanted anybody to think that, well, maybe he's doing this, not asking for money, but understanding that if he gives them a lot, they'll give him money and support him if he does a good job. And since he's got a lot of people listening to him and he's got a lot of attention, that if somebody gives him money, more people will give him money without even asking. So he wasn't even going to let that start. Now, there's a man that's serious about his message, Paul.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt. He certainly wasn't seeking any worldly benefits or rewards. And speaking about persecution, anybody's welcome and quite able to simply read a carnal list of the carnal persecutions that Paul suffered, or any of the other apostles, all of them, and including us, not to exclude us. If you're not experiencing persecution to some degree from virtually everybody around you and growing, then where is that light that's shining on the darkness under which they still live, walking in death according to the god of this world, as Satan their father, the devil their father? And if we're of Christ, it's going to shine a light. It's going to be a walking light, even if it's not speaking. And judgment and persecution will come up as though it's coming out of the dark. Like, where'd that come from? I get that all the time. I don't even know where they came from. You start to understand that it doesn't matter what reason they have for their judgment or their treatment of you, because those human reasonings are endless. It's whatever comes to their mind becomes an excuse as to why they don't like you, or what it is about you that makes them not like you. It's not going to be their fault. It's something you're doing. It's something you're saying. It's something you're not doing, or it's something you're not saying. It's something. I've never really been inclined to guess what it is. And after so much time and so much of this, you just don't even want to know the reason, really. Whatever reason's in their head as to why they're acting that way towards you, or treating you that way, or evidently resent you or hate you, jealous, envious, whatever. It's something about rejecting you.
Right.
Which includes, obviously, some kind of judgment or resentment. You don't reject people unless you have some kind of judgment that incorporates a degree of resentment. And we know 1,000 resentments accumulating in our minds from childhood, which we all experience in the way that we're treated in this world, that it grows into one big hate. And hate looms in the minds and hearts of men. No wonder people are so ready and apt to, run off to war and kill other people. The hatred is in their heart to do it already. And sure, all you got to do is give them authoritative reason, hand them a reason from a higher authority like the government or your president, and boom, jump up ready to sign up to go kill people, poor people in the country. And they know it, but of course they would believe authoritative figures that are duly elected and or there, in fact, to protect them and their parents. So, it's maybe my duty to sign up and go kill people. Wait, look at all the guns for sale today. You can't, and all people that play games, video games, adults, spending all kinds of time playing games. What's with that? Playing games or watching games?
One of the two, or both.
A lot. That's sure going to distract from any type of focus on what life's purpose is, and or let alone looking in the mirror. It's better to watch people win and lose than to contemplate that everyone's life is in a big game of winning and losing all the time. Rather than growing out of it, what is it will take us out of this game, remove us from this game, free us from this role and this image in the game we have to play in order to get along, to go along? What is it that's going to remove me from that and all the pressures, all the doubts, worries, and fears that inherently rise up in our minds when we're actively playing in those roles and in the games?
Well, yeah, God himself and Christ, and God in Christ and Christ in us, as we say.
Sure. And we know everybody's out there playing a game. And if we're near them, if they can see us, if we're associating with them in one way or another, be it on the play field, the game field, the work field, whatever kind of field, we're out there in it and we're there with them, which we can't always just avoid completely. But we know that when we are, they're all playing a game and we're in it. Is all they've got to do is see us and be within sound range of each other's voices. And we're in their game. If they speak out something, it's for the ears around their mouth for people to hear about how they're playing the game, what they're doing in the game. From where else do they come but trying to get ahead and win the game? What is the other direction in their life? Out of their mouth, people defile themselves. Not what they take in, but what comes out of their mouth. And they're speaking to the people around them who can hear them. If we give them much attention or give any value to what we're hearing, as people defile themselves by what comes out of their mind, devoting and giving their life up to playing a game, with all the people around them either being their group of leaders or their group of winners. You're either on their winning team or they're losing, or the losing team, when they're speaking out loud for people to hear. Well, the people that jump to attention and listen to me, I guess they're on the winning team because they're with me, because they give me attention and respect. Anybody that turns their back, I guess they're what people would like to call the losing team.
Right.
Well, they're not with the guy speaking at that very moment. So he doesn't want them on his team because they're not giving him attention or reacting in a supportive manner to him. So he's going to treat those people that turn their backs on him or don't appear to be jumping to attention or don't appear to be listening or giving him respect. He's going to see those people as on the losing team, not on his team. So therefore, they're against him in life generally for what that person wants when they're just speaking anything, whatever they're saying, unless they have another direction. I only know of two directions in life. One is towards God, and that requires God drawing us towards God, for it can't be of our own choice, our own free will choice. We wouldn't know how to choose God. How would we know how to choose the true God? On our own. What did Christ say? Of myself, I can do nothing.
Right. Yeah. No one believes that.
No, they just go about choosing everything because they have, what do they have, Ryan, that gives them such great power?
Free will.
Yeah, the almighty free will, able to, with enough power, able to even usurp the very will of God. How about we end it here, Ryan?
The militant church coming to an end.
Okay.
Well, I guess it won't come to an end because they'll keep on fighting.
They'll keep on going, but we're going to leave them behind right now. All right. Goodbye, militants. All right.
All right. Bye.